Welcome to The Explainer. So let's just jump right in. Today we're unpacking the exclusive, often totally hidden playbook of the ultra-wealthy. We're talking first-hand experiences, real lessons pulled directly from interacting with some of the most insanely successful, well-funded people on the planet.
94. Now that's not just a random number. That's the exact number of billionaires our source, a ridiculously successful real estate broker, literally has in their phone contacts right now. We're not talking about a random directory here. These are friends, active clients, and mentors who are operating on a completely different frequency than the rest of us. Think about it. There are only about 2,600 billionaires in the world today. Having 94 of them on speed dial, that gives us an incredibly rare, unfiltered window into their daily habits.
And just to give you a taste of how different their world actually is, check out this quote. Hey, do you want to offer 60 or 61 million? This isn't some dramatic line from a movie script. This is an actual, real-life text message used to negotiate a massive real estate deal. It's just wild, right? To think a transaction of that magnitude is handled with the exact same casual tone you or I might use to ask a buddy where they want to grab lunch. It perfectly sets the stage for us today, because the ultra-wealthy simply do not do business the way we assume they do.
Okay, so how do they operate? Today, we're breaking it down into 4 core themes to really get inside the mindset of capital. 1, the obsession with time. 2, trust and the inner circle. 3, capital and focus. And finally, 4, solving high-quality problems.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the obsession with time.
Look, if there is one thing billionaires value way more than every single dollar in their bank account, it's every single second of their day. Look at this comparison here. On the left, you've got a millionaire buying a $1 million home. To get that deal across the finish line, they're making 62 phone calls, dragging in teams of bankers and lawyers, and demanding all these constant in-person meetings. But on the right, the billionaire. Our source has literally negotiated $100 million deals using just a single iMessage, or maybe a quick disappearing text on the Signal app if it's sensitive. No hour-long syncs, no endless roundtable meetings, just a quick text and bam, the deal is done.
So, why the extreme allergy to a simple phone call? Well, $2,500. That is roughly the amount of money Jeff Bezos makes every single second. Every second. When your time literally equates to thousands of dollars a tick, a casual, winding phone call isn't just annoying, it's a massive, tangible drain on your earning potential. Taking the time for a call is an active loss of capital. They fire off a text because, quite frankly, it's the ultimate time saver.
And this extreme efficiency, it bleeds into literally everything they do, even just grabbing dinner. Our source shared this fascinating little anecdote about dining with a billionaire client. As soon as the waiter brought the water over, the client didn't ask to hear the specials, didn't hum and haw over the appetizers. He just held up the menu and said, "Surprise us." Seriously. Another client actually ordered his meal the exact second the waiter walked up, completely deadpan telling his guests that if they didn't order right then and there, he was going to order for them.
Now, to you and me, that might sound a little intense, maybe even slightly rude, right? But what's actually happening here is all about preserving energy. By making these minor choices, like what to eat for dinner, instantly, they are fiercely protecting their critical mental bandwidth for the major, needle-moving decisions. They already know the food at a high-end restaurant is going to be great, so they're not going to waste their own time or the waiter's time debating over the sea bass or the steak. They make big decisions incredibly fast, and they do that by immediately, ruthlessly eliminating the small ones.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 2, trust and the inner circle. You see, when you have billions of dollars, your relationship with the rest of humanity fundamentally shifts. You are constantly on guard. The rule of thumb here? Trust is incredibly hard to build and oh so easy to destroy. Billionaires are hyper-aware that basically anyone new entering their orbit probably has an ulterior motive. They've all been burned or taken advantage of before. Because of that, new people are viewed with intense, almost microscopic suspicion. And get this. They have absolutely zero issue completely dropping a relationship in a millisecond. You could have a flawless 10-year track record with them, but if you lie to them once, if you show up late just one single time or steer them wrong, it's over. The confidence vanishes instantly and they'll just seamlessly move on to the next person.
So, how on earth do you actually break through a fortress like that? Well, here is the exact step-by-step playbook our source used early on to successfully crack into that billionaire trust circle. Step 1. Work for free. Actually offering up real estate commissions right out of the gate signaled, hey, I'm not here to just extract your money. Step 2 is honestly brilliant. Befriend the outer circle. We're talking the nannies, the landscapers, the private bankers. Gaining the trust of the people who already safely manage the billionaire's daily life, That is a total backdoor into the billionaire's own trust. And step 3, the absolute golden rule: never lie. Ever. Complete, unbreakable, radical transparency is literally the only way you survive once you finally make it inside.
All right, moving on to section 3, capital and focus.
Now this is where it gets really interesting. There is a wild paradox in how the ultra-wealthy view their everyday possessions versus how they view true massive growth. Take a look at this table. On the frugal side, for everyday stuff, you have billionaires who will happily kill a business deal over a $5 discrepancy. Or you've got Warren Buffett famously paying for his daily McDonald's breakfast with exact change he keeps in his car's cup holder. Or Elon Musk opting to own absolutely no physical houses. But then on the lavish growth side, they will turn right around and casually drop $100 million on a mega yacht, buy literal castles in France, or scoop up prime oceanfront real estate in Malibu without even blinking.
So what's the deal here? Why be incredibly stingy about a breakfast sandwich, but then happily drop millions on a French chateau? Well, buying a massive yacht isn't just flashy, reckless spending for them. It's a highly, highly calculated investment. As our source points out, the biggest deals get done on the water. A yacht, or that Malibu beach house, acts as an exclusive, ultra-private venue to host other billionaires. It's this carefully curated environment where guards finally come down, elite networking happens, and billion-dollar futures get mapped out. They heavily overspend on these massive assets because it essentially guarantees a much greater return on their future business. It's networking at the highest possible stakes.
And the overarching rule for how they manage their capital and their daily focus is surprisingly simple: focus only on what you are absolutely best at and leverage the rest. The ultra-wealthy do not waste a single second on the minutia. They only engage in the absolute biggest, highest impact decisions that they, and only they, are uniquely qualified to make. Everything else, the daily grind, the administrative stuff, the building, the hammering, it is completely leveraged and delegated out to other people. It's a massive mindset shift, but it's exactly what allows them to scale the success endlessly without completely burning out.
Let's wrap things up with section 4, solving high-quality problems. Look, despite the mega yachts and the billions in the bank, at their core, billionaires are just regular human beings. They still go to the bathroom and, yeah, they probably still cry watching The Notebook. But they operate with very, very different stakes. I mean, think about it. What happens when your private jet breaks? Our source shared this hilarious but super insightful story about going to a private airport with a client only to find out the plane was grounded for a mechanical issue. The billionaire was super frustrated that he had to go source a whole new private plane. Now, if you or I have a bad day, we just vent to a friend, right? But who exactly does a billionaire complain to about a broken private jet? They can't exactly vent to their old high school buddies or their regular employees. It would be a completely awkward, totally unrelatable display of wealth. And that, right there, brings us to the ultimate networking hack. Jump in and fix their high-quality problems. Our source realized in that exact moment that this billionaire just needed someone to talk to. Someone who could handle this 0.00001% issue without making it weird or awkward. By just calmly stepping in to help solve that high-tier jet problem, it built an unbelievable bond of trust. And you know what happens when you effortlessly fix someone's private jet? Suddenly, they trust you enough to let you sell them their next $50 million condo. It's brilliant.
In fact, this strategy of making yourself utterly indispensable by solving incredibly niche problems is so effective that our source was literally profiled in New York Magazine as the broker to the plutocracy. Now, a plutocracy, if you're not familiar, is a society ruled or controlled by people of great wealth. By deeply, truly understanding their obsession with time, by earning that heavily guarded trust, and flawlessly solving their very unique problems, our source basically became the go-to guy for the modern plutocracy. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to turn the mirror back on you for a second and leave you with this. What is your unique skill and what high-quality problem are you solving today? Sure, you might not be fixing private jets or securing castles in France just yet, but adopting this billionaire mindset, relentlessly protecting your time, guarding your trust, focusing only on your unique strengths, and actively seeking to solve complex problems for others, that is the real playbook for leveling up in whatever it is you do. Start treating your time like it's worth $2,500 a second, and honestly, just see what happens. Thanks for hanging out and exploring this with me today.